I said the other day that America ought to be grateful that black folk have sought justice and not revenge. We are exhausted from living in a system that neglects us. America's identity is founded on systemic racism. We're tired of saying names. We're tired of writing hashtags. In the words of the great prophet Fannie Lou Hamer, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And as they prepare tomorrow to make their final closing arguments in that case, America is already bracing for the worst. They've already begun to board up buildings in Minneapolis. They've already called in the National Guard and extra police force to deal with the potential civil unrest should there be an acquittal in this case. It's amazing how they get so prepared for black folk, amen, to express their grievances. Yet for months they were saying they were going to the Capitol on January 6th. They didn't board up a building. They didn't call on the National Guard. They didn't get any extra police presence. Why? Because they had the complexion for the protection. When the crack epidemic was here, they said we had to get tough on drugs. Just say no. Zero tolerance. And they criminalized both the drug dealer and the drug user, and they used it to mass incarcerate generations of black people. All of a sudden, when opioids, heroin, and Oxycontin and oxycodone became a problem in America, but the face of the users were white faces. They did not say zero tolerance. They did not say we have to lock them up. What they said was it's a public health crisis, and the users have a health, have a sickness that needs to be dealt with, and we need to be kind and gentle and put them in programs and give them resources and help them get over their addiction. And it seems like all of a sudden now the same ones who had looked at a kinder, gentler response to opioids when George Floyd had opioids in his system, they went back to, well, he's a criminal anyway. Well, what about your mama and them and your children them and all them white kids out there in the suburbs that are on opioids? Do they deserve to have a police officer put his knee in their necks for 9 minutes until he chokes the life out of them? And what happens here in this text, Jesus violates this separation of space by entering into the demonized space of the Samaritans. And that's my first point. Jesus crosses boundaries to reach the marginalized. Jesus placed himself in the middle of those that were the most denigrated, the most marginalized, the most feared. He ignored all of the prevailing caricatures about the Samaritan people as unclean and dangerous people. He flagrantly dismissed the social religious narratives about Samaritans by going out of his way to enter into their space. And it shows his intentional solidarity with a crucified class of people. Jesus, again, God incarnate, is affirming the sacred worth of this woman. That's my second point. Jesus affirms that Black Lives Matter. Jesus frees her from the social religious constructs that deemed her as an offense and restores her sacred identity. Associating with her, he raises her profile. Y'all ain't gonna help me in here. Now watch this. At the same time he raises her profile in her community, in his community, they look down upon him for associating with her, so he lowered his profile in the eyes of his community. In other words, he leveled the playing field. just because you made it to the palace. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. But you've got a responsibility to help somebody else make it across. Thank you, Jesus. Don't pull up the ladder because you climbed to the top. Don't blow up the bridge because you made your way across. Thank you, Jesus. But reach your hand back down the ladder and pull somebody else up out of Lodabar. Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. It's all right if you got it now, just hold it for me. I'll be there to get it after a while. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. You got to make up in your mind that what God has for me, it is for me. I might not have it right now, may not get it next week, you might try to stop me from getting it, but if God said it's mine, I want you to know after a while, I'm going to get what belongs to me. Sometimes God got to strip what you got so you don't depend on yourself. He got to take away from you so you understand how to depend on yourself. Come on in there. Thank you, Jesus. Our young people are dying. Cracked out.
90.7 WTCC. Good morning and welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is 4 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. I want to thank Mr. Kenneth Barnett for bringing us up into the 9 o'clock hour with The Promise. You can hear The Promise every Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., bringing you the best in gospel music. Good way to start out your Monday morning. Great way to start out your week. It's rainy here in Massachusetts after having some good days, some good sunny, hot days. But we got a little rain, cool it off just a little bit, and I think we probably needed it. So, I ain't mad. It's all good. Welcome, everybody in the Pioneer Valley, everybody who's tuned in via social media. I need you all to do me a favor. I need you to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let somebody know that the bishop is on the air. We got a couple of things to talk about. We're going to have Senator Lesser on. He normally comes on the first Monday, but we didn't get him on last week, so we'll get him on this week with our State House update. And today I'm going to be talking about the situation with the police commissioner here locally. But, it's a universal application because the problem we're having here in Springfield with a rogue, racist police commissioner, you can just enter another city's name and it'll be the same type of a situation. I mean, that's just how it goes. And then I'm going to talk about this critical race theory. Yeah, they claim critical race theory teaches black people to hate white folks, and they don't want it taught in the schools. And the Florida banned it, even though it was never taught in Florida schools, but they banned it. And racists all over the country are talking about this, and the coons are too. The sycophants are running around. Vernon Jones and C.J. Pearson and and Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens and them and Larry Elder and critical race theory. Massa don't want critical race theory. Yeah, they don't even know what it is. Hopefully, I'll give you an understanding of it before we're off the program today. Going to have the First Lady come on after the hour. So, a lot of good stuff happening today. Tell a friend, tell somebody. Do me a favor, rep your city, rep your town. Those of you who are chiming in on social media, rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're coming in from, okay? 413-337-1867. 413-337-1867. Ow, I see the DCIOs are in the house. Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. Love our Phi to the day I died. We in here, even though we got a Kappa on the line, Keyshawn Dodge. That's okay. We'll take Kappas too. Kappas can come on in here. Michael Moore chilling in Michigan for a few days. Marion is in the house. Come on, rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're coming in from. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're in at. I need to know where you're coming in from. Listen, don't you dare touch that dial. Don't you start, surfing and all that kind of stuff. You stay right where you are. Stay put. We got some stuff we need to talk about. I need y'all here. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Everything about you. Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Every day you get up, you've been given a gift. That's why we call it the present. And it's up to you of how you unwrap it. So yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is a gift. So don't let the pain of your past bleed into your present and poison your future. Stop replaying the movie, why did this happen to me? When it's done with you, be done with it. If it seems like you keep running into pigeons, it's an indication that you're flying too low. So set your sights a little higher. Remember, eagles fly by themselves. If you can see the invisible, you can do the impossible. Allow your challenges to be a stepping stone to propel you into new possibilities. So be discontent with your past accomplishment. You're only as great as your last success. So maintain your hunger and your passion. Remember this, within every seed there is a tree, and every tree there is a forest. Doing what you were born into is simply the environment to prepare you for your ultimate purpose. It was not a setback, it was a setup. Your purpose and potential is bigger than your past, pain, or problem. Dedicated to you. Listen to your heart, don't let your mind fool you. Another talk, dedicated to you. Whatever you do is gonna surely come back to you. Successful people will do the things they hate to get the things they love. Much of life is about sacrifice. You gotta give up something to get something. Success is not about what you've accomplished, but it's what you have overcome. For it's the test that you pass in life which qualifies you for the next level. You have to be willing to face your challenges and overcome them. Most people drive 12,000 miles a year moving forward, but most accidents are caused when they move backwards. You gotta stay focused on what's ahead of you instead of what's behind you. It's your daily routine that determines your success or failure. Whatever you practice in is what you become great at. What's more important than being intelligent is having the right attitude. Respect costs you nothing, but it will cost you everything not to have it. So don't be too smart for your own good. Remember, a hard head makes a soft behind. What's more important than your five senses is common sense. The heart of a fool is in his mouth, but the heart of a wise man is in his character. So don't sweat the small things. The answer for a short temper is a long walk. Be slow to speak, quick to listen, and remember this: you haven't lived long enough to know everything. Your character is what matters most. Once you have been labeled.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. A strong, beautiful black woman staring back at me. One who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been lied to, cheated on, stolen from and hit, but it just made me stronger and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I've been tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. I was above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil. The devil who said I wasn't good enough, cute enough, or worthy of love, I kicked his butt with divine power from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me and brought me out of darkness so that I could see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love for me, He came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. She's looking good. That strong, beautiful black woman, that woman is me.
90.7. That's Rhonda Swan, my big sister. Go check her out. Get her music on Spotify, Pandora, wherever you stream music from. Check her out. All right. Got a lot of nice spoken word pieces out there. And while you're out there, check out my son, T Swan. He's got some new music out, got some stuff going. And check a brother out. Get my EP. We Still Can't Breathe. All right. Let's support one another. I see Detroit up in the house. Deacon Lovejoy, what's happening? I see Dallas, Texas up in the house. I see that Kappa's telling me don't hate. You know, Iotas don't hate, bruh. No, we don't hate. I see Zeta Phi Beta in the house. I got an announcement, hopefully by the end of the month, about Zeta Phi Beta. Can't make it right now, but Dr. Grayson, I feel you. I got Palestine in the house from the occupied West Bank. And we stand with you. 413, let me get the number up here. 413-337-1867. That's the number that connects you to me. Once again, coming up at half past the hour is Senator Eric Lesser. At the top of the hour, the First Lady's coming on. So tell a friend, tell somebody. The Bishop is on the air right now. Okay? Rep your city, rep your town. I didn't see the Shy chime in yet. Usually I see the Shy chime in. I see Buffalo in the house. Good morning. Mother Fields, our jurisdictional supervisor for the Nova Scotia Jurisdiction Church of God in Christ. All right. Good morning, one. Good morning, all. Listen, we had a conversation last week, a continuing conversation that's been going on for 2 years about this dysfunctional, rogue, racist, and since other people can't seem to put that word into the conversation, I get it. Some of y'all got to be politically correct. I don't have to do that. Cheryl Clapperud is racist. I'm just going to say it and leave it there. Cheryl Clapperud, the commissioner of the Springfield Police Department, is racist. Go and play this clip back, send it to the news, whatever you want to do. It's only racist who think there's no racism. You have to be racist to look at everything that is going on in this nation and fix your mouth or your fingers to write or type that there's no systemic racism. And I know she said in her department, but the police department is a microcosm of the society in which it exists. It's a microcosm of this city, of this state, of this nation, of police departments across the nation. You've got to be racist to look at this police department and fix your lips to say there's no racism in this department. To fix your lips to say there's no systemic racism. To sit here with an FBI, with a Department of Justice report that you're currently negotiating with the federal government on. The Springfield Police, here's the backdrop. This is what makes it so much more egregious for her to say such foolery. The Springfield Police Department is currently negotiating with the Department of Justice for violating the constitutional rights of black and brown people. And they only investigated the narcotics unit. Could you imagine what would have happened if they had investigated the entire department? Because we know that the narcotics unit is only a microcosm of the entire department. And the Department of Justice, under Donald Trump, under a racist, said y'all was racist. I mean, think about that for a minute. They said that the Springfield Police Department engages in a pattern, a practice of using excessive force against black people, against brown people, of not being held accountable by the powers that be. The Complaint Review Board, that paper tiger review board, the police commissioner, the district attorney. You're currently negotiating with them on how to mitigate your dysfunction around brutalizing black and brown people, falsifying police reports, not being held accountable, not being properly disciplined. You're currently negotiating. I was on a call with the Department of Justice on Friday, talking about their negotiations with the city and how do we institute better measures of accountability. And in the middle of a DOJ negotiation that could potentially result in a consent decree and a federally appointed monitor to monitor the Springfield Police Department. She has to call Cassidy to say, ain't no racism in this department. And the mayor, uncorrected, silent on it. He can come out and condemn it. He can't come out and agree with it, or he would have. If he could come out and agree, he would, but he can't. But at the same time, he won't condemn her words. So silence is consent, Mr. Mayor. Silence is consent. If you won't condemn this commissioner for saying there's no racism in the police department, that means you're agreeing with her. Your silence is giving her consent, Mayor Dominic Sarno. And I don't care how many meetings you have with Marcus Williams. I don't care how you manipulate that situation because the current president of the city council who's willing to meet with you is black. I'll pretend he's representing the entire black community. He's not. I don't represent the entire black community, but I guarantee you I represent far more of the voices in the black community around this police issue than Marcus Williams does. This is what she says in the middle of this DOJ negotiation. Not only in the middle of a DOJ negotiation after the scathing report that they released last July, which caused the Boston Globe to say that Springfield Police Department is the worst in the nation. Not one of the worst. Not the worst in New England, not the worst in Massachusetts, the worst in the nation. So here's the deal. That not only, good God Almighty, not only are we talking about the DOJ issue, we're talking about 15 cops currently being prosecuted by the state attorney general for guess what? You got it. Brutalizing black people, threatening to murder and brutalizing a young Latino. 15 currently right now. You know, the commissioner and Republican newspaper, we got our eyes on you too. Because I never say anything publicly that I won't say directly. I said it directly to Robert Genest of the Republican newspaper that it was a travesty, that it was a conflict of interest for them to give this police commissioner a monthly column to try to spin the narrative around the corruption in the police department, unless they were going to give somebody else a monthly column to rebut the things that she says. And he wrote me back. He said, well, you know, Talbert, you know, you're welcome to respond to her, and we might print it. We might print your response. So you're a newspaper who's supposed to be covering this police department, and you can't objectively cover the department if you're giving the commissioner space in your paper to rebut anything that you report on. And so we noticed the spin. When I called for her removal from office, when I reiterated the call of the NAACP's call for her to be removed from office last week. In the article that was written, it said Bishop Talbert Swan brought up issues from the past. Come on, Republicans, stop it. Stop it. So what you want to do, you want to make white folks think, you know, they're going back in the past. You know, kind of like y'all say slavery is in the past and Jim Crow is in the past. So if it's in the past, you can dismiss it. So he's bringing up stuff from the past. No. The 14 officers that I talked about from Nathanville are currently, right now, being prosecuted. Right now, today, they're in court. Stop talking about us in the past. Officer Big Duck, who threatened to split someone's skull on video, who threatened to plant drugs on them and send them to jail, who said nothing would happen to him, right now, currently, he's in court being prosecuted. This ain't the past. You got 15 cops currently being prosecuted. So stop being in cahoots with this commissioner Republican newspaper. Objectively cover the news. Currently, right now, there's a cop collecting a check with your taxpayer dollars that was convicted in September, 8 months ago, for beating a black kid at Commerce High School. He's currently on the payroll. Right now, checking in, collecting dollars from your taxpayer money. Now, when Officer Fuentes, the young 33-year-old Latino woman, posted an Instagram post that was favorable to Black Lives Matter, Commissioner Clapper fired her. She didn't get no hearing before no complaint review board or nothing. Fired. Bye. You posted something that's not favorable to the police but favorable to Black Lives Matter, so you got to go. And you got to go right now. And we're not going to have no doggone complaint review board or nothing. Bye-bye. Nah. Hey. See ya. She moved swiftly. But the cop that beat a black kid at Commerce High School and got convicted in the court, he's a convicted felon. The commissioner didn't move to fire him with the quickness like she fired Officer Fuentes. What's up with that? I want y'all to see the dysfunction in this department. I want y'all to see why I call her a racist. You post something that favors Black Lives Matter, you got to get the hell out of here. Fired. You beat the hell out of a black kid, I'm going to keep you on the job. That's your police commissioner. She's a racist. Period. She's a racist by actions and by words. By actions and by words. And the fact that Dominic Sarno won't get rid of her says a whole lot about who he is. And I know part of why he won't get rid of her is because I said he should. Because he can't be perceived as kowtowing to Bishop Swan. He can't be perceived as kowtowing to them black folk in front of the white voters. I understand. I see clearly what's going on. I got 20/20 vision on this. That's the reason why Dom Sarno won't meet with me anymore. But he'll meet with Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams says he spoke truth to power behind closed doors. We ain't never seen him speak truth to power in public. The reason Dom will meet with Marcus Williams, he doesn't feel threatened. He doesn't feel like he'd be confronted with any hard questions. He doesn't feel like he'd be challenged to do anything. Because see, the difference is, I would have sat in his office if I met with him last week in Clapper. I would have told him she needed to be fired. I would have said it in her face. I said it in her face. Before she was ever made the permanent commissioner, I sat in his office. I sat there. Darryl Moss was there. Minister Johnny Muhammad was in there with me. I sat there with Ed Pakula, the city solicitor, the police commissioner herself, and Mayor Sarno. And I told him I had a problem with the fact that she was a Brady cop. That she was a cop that got convicted of filing a false police report. How is a cop who lies on police reports going to discipline police who lie on police reports? And you know she's not going to do that, because one of the first things she did was she reinstated 5 cops that are being prosecuted in the Nathan Bill case. She reinstated 5 cops that are being accused of perjury and lying on a police report. She don't think anything is wrong with that because she got convicted of the same thing. So I told her right there with her sitting there, it's problematic to have a Brady cop at the head of this department. I told him while she was sitting there, she was the wrong choice. And I asked him, Daryl Moss is my witness. Brother Johnny is my witness. I asked him then to do a nationwide search for a new police commissioner and to not appoint her as the permanent commissioner. So this ain't no Johnny come lately stuff. This ain't no, jumping on no bandwagon kind of stuff. I said this to him from Jump Street. From the beginning of this process, from the time Commissioner Barbieri resigned and Cheryl Clapprood was appointed as interim commissioner, I asked the mayor not to appoint her as the permanent commissioner. Now there's a Boston Globe article from 2 years ago, from May of 2019, that talks about the interim police commissioner, Cheryl Clapprood, is trying to rebuild trust. Fast forward 2 years later, she's failed miserably. NAACP has called for her removal. Pioneer Valley Project has called for her removal. 2,000 citizens signed a petition calling for her removal. Mass Senior Action Council has called for her removal. City Councilors Justin Hurst, Tracy Whitfield has called for her removal. This isn't a Talbert Swan thing. This is a community-wide thing. You've got citizens from all over the community, our seniors, our elected officials, other grassroots organizations. Tanisha Arena, the head of Arise, spoke last week, called for her removal. So you've got people all over the community calling for the removal of this police commissioner. It'd be wise for Mayor Dominic Sarno to listen. Maintaining her is not going to be a good thing. We'll take this call and then we'll bring the senator on. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Let me see. Good morning, caller.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing well. I had a few questions. I'm on the topics, but what exactly who is that portrayed in that framed picture back there?
Are you really calling me, asking me about my frame? Who's in my frame picture?
Yeah, I can't really tell.
Because it's none of your business. How about that? Goodbye. I'm sitting here talking about important stuff. You calling me, asking who's in the frame picture behind me. Man, if you don't get off my line, 413-337-1867. Some of y'all are just silly. Don't call me with silliness. I ain't in a silly call mood. Okay? You get your feelings hurt. Let me get the senator on here. Oh, God.
Somebody said they're captain.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Mixed up last week.
Oh, no problem. That was on me, man. I just got so caught up in stuff. I had a funeral that same day. I had all kinds of stuff going on, so it completely slipped my mind that it was even the first Monday. So I didn't catch your text looking for the link until after. I'm like, oh, man. But here we are. What's happening?
Man, another week and quite a lot of going on. Big news this week is we have a state of emergency on a statewide issue. So people should look out and do a little bit of, let me. How's that?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So the state of emergency ending, the COVID state of emergency ends June 15th tomorrow. So the governor is lifting that tomorrow, rather abruptly, I'd say, after 16 months.
Wow.
Of a state of emergency. So we have legislation pending to try to put in place and stretch out some of the items that are tied to that state of emergency. So people should keep a lookout on that. Thursday, we have a sports betting hearing, so that's a big item. A lot of people have been focused on that for a while. And then on Friday, the state is recognizing first time ever official holiday, recognizing Juneteenth. So state offices are going to be closed, city offices around the state closed, and there's going to be ceremonies around markets. This was based off a law that was passed last summer, marking Juneteenth. Of course, it's a Saturday this year. It's the official state recognition would be Friday, so this coming Friday. So these are the three big things we're tracking right now. The budget is in conference, so we're hoping to get that wrapped up in the next few weeks and get that money out to organizations by July.
Great. Juneteenth is big. That is being celebrated here both in the Commonwealth and in Springfield already. A holiday here. And there's all kinds of Juneteenth celebrations that are going on this weekend.
Yep.
A lot of folks are doing stuff around Juneteenth. Anything you're going to be going to? I take it you're going to be making rounds?
Yeah, I'll be at Friday. It's at 10 a.m. So I'll be at that, and there's a whole host of things happening on Saturday that I'll be at as well. I'm going to be hosting a live stream focused on Juneteenth on Friday, and I'm live stream. We've been on, so we're going to do a Juneteenth live stream on Friday for that. So. Yeah, a lot of things. We always recognize the holiday, and I've always gone to events around Juneteenth locally. But the fact that it's now a state law is a big deal, and I think really it's going to be a big moment, especially this year with first one. So we'll be keeping a close eye on how that all happens statewide.
Okay. What about the budget? Any good things happening for Western Mass in the budget?
So a couple of things to keep an eye on. So first, we are fully funding the Student Opportunity Act, which is the funding law that got passed for COVID that had to be put on hold during COVID. We're going back and we're adding up what was lost from COVID, so that we're going to catch the law back up. So the Springfield schools, for example, are going to be getting 10 more over the next 6 years, as our Chicopee Corps, our school districts around the state, and our rural districts are going to be getting more resources. So very focused on that. Very focused on the resources for transportation, in particular PPA funding, and big and broad that we're very focused on East-West Rail. People should really keep an eye on this because the state portion now is basically done. We've gotten the feasibility done. We've gotten the federal funding in place. And then I now move to Washington where the Biden infrastructure bill is right now under debate. So a lot of this will happen this summer, which is what is really exciting, but also maybe a nerve-wracking period. And we also, of course, have implementation of the police reform legislation, which is still very much in the early innings in terms of getting that up and going. Commission and post has just gotten started, but there are a series of deadlines this summer that we're going to be tracking closely to make sure that the implementation stays on track.
Yeah, we're looking for that to be implemented and the timeline to be met on that. We need that here in Springfield, of course, across the Commonwealth, but definitely here in Springfield. I was appointed to the Permanent Commission on the Status of African Americans, and I'm still waiting to see when we're going to have our first meeting. I got the letter from the Senate President's office about the appointment, but we're still kind of waiting in the wings to see when we gonna do some action. I already got some stuff I'm trying to propose, but I need to get into it.
I'm happy to hear that, but I mean, it's a good point. That commission is a big part of the law, and it's a really important part of keeping an eye on the implementation of the law, not just policing, but across the board. Issues like transportation, environmental justice, criminal justice, economic programs, so we got to get that up and going.
Absolutely.
Because we will keep an eye on that to make sure it gets moving.
Absolutely. Give everybody your contact info. Let them know how to get in touch with you if they need your services or trying to get info or whatever.
So, office 413-526-6501, again, 526-6501 is the office line. Email, eric.lester@mdcenter.gov. We're on Instagram, @LesterNA, Twitter, @LesterNA, and Facebook, Eric Lester NA, Facebook.com/EricLesterNA. So, all the media ways are always available.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure talking to you, Senator.
All right. Thanks, Bishop.
All right. All right. Okay, y'all. That was Senator Eric Lesser giving us our State House update. Budget is popping. Trying to get the police reform implemented. A lot of other things that are happening. So we get him on usually once a month to try to kind of give us an update of what's going on in the State House. And we definitely need that police reform stuff to get popping here. It's crazy. It's crazy here in Springfield. Crazy. So 413, some of y'all were trying to call in. 413-337-1867 is the number here. If you're trying to chime in, I'm going to switch over to this critical race theory thing. But if you were trying to chime in on the conversation around the Springfield Police Commissioner, we'll definitely we'll get you in. We'll get you in. 413-337-1867. Clapperoo's got to go. That's what it is. And the mayor is doubling down. He's not trying to do anything. And here's the thing. It's not that he's not trying to do something because, shout out to Reverend Catherine Cummins over there on YouTube. Looks like she's over there on YouTube. It's not that he doesn't think she's bad for the department. It's not that he doesn't agree that she is screwing up. It's not that he doesn't agree. What it is he doesn't want to do it because we told him to. That's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Man, now that Talbert told me I got to get rid of her, I can't look bad in front of my boys. They're going to be like, oh man, you kowtow to that Negro? That's all this is right now. He's only doubling down because of his ego. And here's the thing, Mayor Sarno. You're putting black and brown people's lives in danger because of your ego. Because it ain't your kids or your cousins or your friends and family members or your friends' family members that are in danger because of these rogue racist cops. It's our kids and our people. And you put them in danger by having this dysfunctional racist at the head of the department because of your ego. Because you got too much ego to say, yeah, I screwed up when I appointed her. And I need to get rid of her and get somebody competent who's not a rabid racist at the head of the department. The fact that she would say it publicly over and over again, because what she wrote to the Mass Senior Action Council, she said it. She said it publicly in one of the mayor's online forums on police reform. She said there is no systemic racism. She said that with the mayor sitting right there next to her. The mayor didn't correct it. She said that with Helen Calton sitting in the room. Health and Human Service Director, Tashina Davis, at the time, city clerk, was sitting in the room. Talia G, over diversity and inclusion for the city, was sitting in the room. Judge Ireland was on the Zoom. None of those black people said, hold up. Now, I beg to differ with you. That ain't no systemic racism. And I understand people have to protect their livelihood and their stations and all of that kind of stuff. But do we draw the line somewhere? Is there a line in the sand that these folk can't cross? Or do we just shuck and jive and ignore everything? And the fact that she felt confident enough to say there is no systemic racism with high-profile members, black members of the mayor's cabinet sitting in the room around her, lets you know the type of brazen racist that she is. I'm going to say ain't no racism in front of you Negroes. And ain't none of y'all going to open your mouth to correct me. I dare you to. I double dog dare you to open your mouth and say anything. Marlo Brown, where's your statement condemning the police commissioner's letter in where she claims there's no systemic racism? She doesn't exert any privilege. Melvin Edwards, where's your statement? Victor Davila, where's your statement? Come on now. You black folks and Latino folk sitting here on this city council, sitting as elected members of this government, and none of y'all besides Tracy Whitfield and Justin Hurst has the intestinal fortitude to condemn the racist tone of that letter and the fact that she said ain't no systemic racism. Ain't none of y'all got the cojones to step up and say something about it? Are y'all serious? None of y'all? We got no takers but Tracy Whitfield and Justin Hurst? The rest of y'all just gonna let this white supremacist commissioner punk y'all like that? You don't understand, Bishop Swan. You know, it's my job. Listen, I have sacrificed more than a few dollars for speaking the truth. I've sacrificed opportunities, thousands of dollars. All of that for having the nerve to speak the truth. Not only has it been a sacrifice for me, it's been a sacrifice for my family. My children have been denied opportunities because their daddy has spoken the truth. When, at what point in time do we stand up for our people? I mean, is that the type of administration this man is running? That even elected officials who don't work directly for him? I can halfway get those I named that were in the room when the police commissioner said ain't no systemic racism, because Dominic Sarno signs their check. But Marlo Brown, Victor DeVille, Melvin Edwards, and I know I'm missing some, he don't sign y'all checks. But y'all ain't got nothing to say? Nothing? Arsenio Hall used to say things that make you go, 413-337-1867. I'm going to bring the First Lady on. I'm hoping I don't have that same feedback. I'm wondering if it's on the end of those coming on or if it's on my end. And if it's on my end, I might have work to fix it and figure it out. Yeah, I know somebody saying y'all calling up them city councils right now. That's why I called them out. So y'all could do that. Y'all calling them right now. Bishop on the air talking about y'all. It's okay. Bring them on. They're welcome to come on. Call into the program. 413-337-1867. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear why you have said nothing in condemnation. When Marcus Williams met with the mayor, he said he spoke truth to power. Yet he did not come out of that meeting condemning the comments of the commissioner. He did not come out of that meeting saying, yes, there is systemic racism in the police department. Yes, racism is a problem in the department. Yes, there is white privilege in the department. He didn't say any of that. He did not condemn one word she said. He just said, it's time for more dialogue. You ain't gonna dialogue racism away. No, when you get out of that meeting, you come out of that meeting and you condemn those words. Don't tell me you condemn them in private. But then when the newspaper talks to you, you tell the newspaper you ain't calling for her dismissal and you don't say anything in condemnation of her actions in the public sphere. Because then I don't have any confidence that you said anything of substance in private. Six minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on. 6 minutes until the end of the program. Let me see. I'm going to bring the First Lady on. If she's got feedback, then I'm going to pull her back off and bring her back on after I get off WTCC, because I think there's something I can do once I get off the radio that can stop that unnecessary feedback that we've got coming. But let's try it out and see what's happening. What's good?
Hey, good morning.
Let me see. I'm trying to see if I got. I'm thinking it's something I'm using to broadcast over the radio that might be causing those who come on as guests to have that echo. So I'm trying to see if you got it. If you've got it, then I think I know what I need to do. But I'll have to wait until after we go off of WTCC to make that happen. So give me a test run. Sing me a line of "Baby, I Love You" or something like that.
No, I'm not. These allergies that come out, but
Yeah, that feedback is still there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the first lady backstage. I got 5 minutes before I'm off of WTCC. Those of you who are streaming with me, I got, what do I got? I got about 100 or so of y'all on Facebook, and then I haven't done the count on YouTube and on Twitter, but the several hundred of y'all that are still streaming, continue with me after I get off of the radio, and then we'll see if we can get First Lady in clearer than she is right now, because we want to, I need to talk a little bit about this critical race theory stuff. I preached about it yesterday. You need to go to Spotify and get the podcast, or Apple Podcast, stream podcast, because it's, before we have a conversation about it, you need to know what it is, and you need to know why these folks are trying to kill it. So anyway, let me do that first, lady. Let me do that, and I'll bring you right back on.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna bring the first lady back on. She's on here waving at people and stuff. I don't know who she's waving at. Somebody. She's waving at somebody. Probably Michael Moore, because he's the one who always asks. I think you be flirting with my wife, dude. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just playing with you. 413-337-1867. So listen, we're gonna talk about the critical race theory for a little bit on the other side of 10 o'clock. If you're looking for a place to worship, I need for you to check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. 11 o'clock a.m. on Sunday mornings, and definitely we'd love to have you. My granddaughter finally got up.
Really, Papa?
You got your pajamas on?
No.
Oh. Looked like my Instagram was trying to. Okay, there we go.
Instagram was trying to stop you.
The gram was tripping. Okay.
It was trying to stop your life.
Yeah, the gram is my camera that got the gram on was falling down. The grandbaby just saved it. I think I'm gonna have to get off the gram in a minute. But anyway, let me see. Tell them something you want them to know before we get off the air. Maya, talking to you. This is your opportunity to shine. It's your opportunity to be a star. She doesn't want, all of a sudden she don't want to say nothing. Wow. Y'all know, anybody who knows my grandbaby, y'all know that's a rarity. That's definitely a rarity. So in any case, we're going to deal on the other side of this. I'm going to try to bring next week, possibly, some of the city councilors on who have been at the forefront of this issue. And they're going to give you their take. And you all need to be the ones to hold accountable. Those of you who live here in Springfield, those counselors who got nothing to say about what's going on. That's a problem, y'all. That's a problem. The ones who won't speak up, won't speak out, won't say anything. And I know they say, well, we don't talk like you talk. We just do ours differently. No, you ain't doing nothing. Stop it. You're kowtowing, you're playing it safe, and you're letting the people down. Bottom line. I got to get out your way. Springfield, Pioneer Valley, Connecticut, wherever y'all who are in our 4,000 watts are hearing us from. So until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, remember, God loves you, so do I. Those that are streaming, stick and stay for a little bit. We'll be right back. just throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. And if you really want police reform, everybody say, oh yeah. Oh boy. See, this what happens when your granddaughter comes to town. She turns you into the silly papa mode. That's how that goes, you know. She had you down here doing TikToks and all kinds of stuff like that. That's how that go, you know. If you got grandbabies, you know what I'm talking about.
Me near him.
You on?
I think so.
I don't know if it's any better. Say again?
I said, I don't know if it's got feedback. Here.
Okay. I guess the audience is
raspy this morning. Those allergies. My butt.
The allergies doing what now?
Hi, Miss Kathy.
Well, you know, they've been acting up all week. And, you know, I get drainage. And, you know, my throat. You know, I always press fruit during praise and worship, but yeah. But it's pretty bad this morning.
What you want, baby? Okay.
Kathy says it's feedback. Good morning. Good morning, Whitney. I was good morning to me. Good morning, and good morning.
Let me go into my audio settings. I think.
Somebody tell me to use headphones. Never use headphones on my computer.
Yeah, I know. Everybody got all the suggestions. Let me do this installation. All right, let's try it now.
Good morning. Yeah.
Come on,
I
give
can
me
hear
one,
you.
two. Spit a rhyme or something.
Really?
I can hear you. I'm talking.
I'm talking about the echo. Is that still in the house?
I don't hear anything. I don't hear any feedback now.
All right,
Can
y'all
you hear
tell
me,
me.
though?
Y'all tell me if my echo cancellation thing worked. I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Kathy said it's fixed.
It's fixed. I am so brilliant.
Really, Papa?
Well, why you didn't fix it the last time?
Don't talk no junk now.
And like the several times after that.
Oh.
Okay, so listen. Don't get smart. Don't get smart.
Good morning, everybody. They said no echo. Good morning, Keisha. One of my favorite people in our community, Keisha Dodds.
All right, we got the sound fixed. Yeah.
Good morning, Steph.
So listen. So check it out, y'all. Florida Board of Education voted unanimously to ban critical race theory. Now, here's the funny thing about it. Critical race theory has never been taught in the Florida schools. So I'm trying to figure out how you ban something that you ain't using to begin with. Help me. Somebody need to help me understand that, because usually when they ban something, you know, when they ban Huckleberry Finn or a certain book or this, that, it's because it's something that is currently being utilized, being used. It has never been used in the Florida public schools. The critical race theory is rarely ever taught in the K through 12 setting, mostly in a graduate setting. And
well,
I'd venture to say that most of the people, and I don't mean to insult the intelligence of my audience, so don't take it this way. It's just, you know, where'd you go, babe? Okay, most of the folks don't know what critical race theory actually is. And that's okay, you know, because, you know, it's been being thrown around there lately, um, um, because of racists trying to um, attack the 1619 Project, attack anything that um, that speaks the truth about racism in contemporary American society or in the history of America. And basically, what you had critical theory, which was looking at society, um, looking at the role that race played in public policy. Um, it morphed into what we called critical legal theory, and critical legal theory looked at how the law played a role in society. Because remember now, the law determined who could vote, who could own land and property, um, you know, who could do a myriad of things, and of course, racism was codified into law. And so, critical legal theory basically said you can't talk about the status of America or the status of race in America without talking about the law, because it's intertwined. That it's not that white people vote more than everybody else, it's because everybody else was forbidden to vote. It's not that black folk live in the poorest neighborhoods, it's because of the policy of segregation codified into law that caused that phenomenon. And critical race theory came out of critical legal theory. And basically, critical race theory looks at how race plays a role in American public policy. And most and all critical race theorists agree on two basic tenets: that white supremacy has subjugated black people and people of color. And the second tenet is that we need to realize the role it played historically and in contemporary society and work to change it. Now, if those are the two main tenets of critical race theory, um, acknowledging that white supremacy has subjugated black people and other non-white people, um, and then admitting the role it played historically and currently and working to change it, why is it that they don't want this talk? Help me understand that.
Well, I can't help you understand it, but it is atypical. It is an atypical mentality, and I hate to say this, and I really don't know how to say it, but too often I think we get led by them. And I'm talking about black people that are committed to the movement. And by the way, when you were talking earlier about what's going on here locally with the police commissioner, or whatever, and everybody was saying they don't want to lose their jobs and this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. Well, today we need people running for office that are connected to the movement, not moving in the moment, so that they can get elected, or whatever the case may be, but totally committed to the movement. And as we learned, so eloquently years and years and years ago, for decades, Black Eagle told us, Joe Madison told us that the difference between a moment and a movement is sacrifice. So, in order to really get this work done, in order to be anti-racist, in order to, really be woke, like some of y'all pretend to be, really be woke, you're gonna be your livelihood is gonna be at risk. Your job is gonna be at risk, because these white supremacists do not want to give up. They don't want to give up their power. They don't want things to be equal. They want to keep us on the bottom. That way they make more money, or they have more power by keeping people on the bottom. And so I have this thing now where I'm saying, I'm tired of people being comfortable with black folk being on the bottom, and then some black folk themselves being comfortable with us being on the bottom because, they feel like they're close enough to white proximity, or they're close enough to whiteness to where I'm okay because I got my job, or I got my position, or I got my in, or whatever it is that they're comfortable with. I get my $15,000 a year earmark, or I get my $30,000 a year earmark. So I don't want any of those things, tampered with when it's chump change. First of all, the city council is not like the city council members make that much money. We're in Springfield. It's not a lot of money to be made, with any of these political positions, whatever. So people are selling out for that little bit of power that they think that they have. So they selling out their whole community, for that. But anyway, getting back to the critical race theory thing, it's atypical. For first of all, for them to lead us and distract us and get us talking about stuff, that don't mean anything, when what's really happening is what we should be focused on, we're forgetting about, and we're spending our energy over here. I'm starting to find out that it's not about how long you've done something. Like, the police commissioner has been a police for how long, babe? How long has she been a police?
She's been a cop for 42 years.
Okay, so she's been a police officer for 42 years. It's not about, bragging and saying I've been a cop for 42 years. It's how effective have you been for 42 years?
Well, here's the thing. She's been a cop for 42 years, and she's been in the upper echelon of the police department for a long time. So she's been a part of the problem for a long time. So I'm not impressed that you're telling me you've been a cop for all that time when you've been part of the problem.
Right. So but anyway, and I'm also saying that it's not about how old we are and how long we've been doing this, but it's about how we use our energy. And when I say doing this, I'm talking about dismantling oppression and racism, and exposing systems that are corrupt and racist, and and mistreat, marginalize, underrepresented, people, or put people in those positions of being marginalized, underrepresented, and disenfranchised, or whatever. And I'm sick of people being comfortable with that. I'm sick of people being comfortable with black folk being forced into those positions, and then calling us crazy for exposing it and speaking up.
Here's the thing you touched on. When you talk about people's proximity to whiteness, any attempt. See, white folk, I understand why they don't want to dismantle the system, because it benefits them.
Right.
Black folks who refuse to speak out is because they get some benefit out of their proximity to whiteness. So they kowtow to them and they talk grimy about black people because, I'm getting hooked up, so it really don't matter to me. Let me play this clip. This is a clip from yesterday. It kind of explains some of what we're talking about.
Attempt to tell the truth in these yet to be United States of America about white supremacy, racism, and anti-black bigotry from an historical perspective or in contemporary society is always, somebody say always, is always going to be met with maximum resistance from those who benefit from the white supremacist system in America. See, folk who benefit, they are never going to agree with you dismantling the system that gives them privilege. Amen, somebody. And just think about it for a moment. If you were getting the hookup, wherever you were getting the hookup, you wouldn't want whatever system was in place that allowed you to get the hookup, you don't want that system to change. Amen. Even if that system disenfranchises other folk, even if that system, come on somebody, does not benefit others because it benefits you, you're down with the system, even if the system is unjust because it gives you the hookup. And that's in a nutshell what white supremacy is in America. In America, white supremacy gives white folks the hookup. And so they're not down to dismantle the system that hooks them up. And so anytime you talk about or deal with the truth about the system that privileges them, they want to silence that discussion. It's not about that critical race theory is divisive or that it teaches black folk to hate white folk, because we ain't never hated y'all. As a matter of fact, you ought to thank God, or as some of y'all say, thank your lucky stars. Amen. That black folk have always sought justice and not revenge. Go on and preach, Bishop.
That in a nutshell explains why the majority of white folks will not be fighting to dismantle, white supremacy. Why dismantle something that benefits me?
But let me also add to that, Bishop, because, when I heard it said yesterday, not that I was in disagreement with it, but it was a part of me that said, I don't think that I would be comfortable with the hookup. And I asked myself, why would I not be comfortable with the hookup? And I said, I think I wouldn't be comfortable with the hookup because I know what it feels like to see other folks comfortable with the hookup and comfortable with me not having the hookup. I know what that feels like. And I do also think that white folks kind of come into the world, and they see these systems being pushed the way that they are. And unless there's a serious intervention, done, most of them, don't wake up, to wait a minute. All right, I see how I benefit from being white. I see the privilege, that I have by being white. Now, more and more, I believe, especially the younger generation are waking up to this, and they are becoming anti-racist, right?
But see, here's what I think is the dichotomy.
But what I wanted to say, though, is that I don't think that black folk at large, of course, we always have some, but I do believe that the majority of the remnant would not be comfortable if everybody couldn't be treated right. I don't think that, black folk would be comfortable getting a hookup and everybody could get the hookup.
I think you're talking from a perspective of someone who's from the marginalized community, or what I called in a recent sermon I preached about the crucified class. When you're part of the crucified class, that's your perspective, because you understand what it means to struggle for equality and for justice. However, if you were never a part of the crucified class and had privilege your whole life, your perspective might be a little bit different.
It is different.
And here's the thing, is the dichotomy that many white folks have to deal with is, I want to acknowledge the injustice against black folk and fight, with them as an ally. But then at the same time, I don't really want to get rid of the privilege that I have as a white person. And so they got to figure out how to balance fighting for justice as well as maintaining the system that causes the injustice in the first place. That's their paradox. That's why you get so many of these, especially left-leaning liberal whites, who give lip service to being a resistor and all of that, but they never address their unconscious racism, because they, at the same time, want to maintain the system that privileges them and disenfranchises me. So they opt in and out of the movement when they get ready to. And that's the thing Black folk can never do. We can't opt in and out. We're in this permanently.
I think you just gave the definition, and I'm about to be controversial on purpose. So I think you just gave the definition of a lot of these white Democrats.
Yeah. The so-called allies that when it's comfortable for them, they'll opt into the movement. When they see some benefit they opted into the movement when Donald Trump was in office because they hated Trump. So we're going to jump on the bandwagon. We're going to talk about his racism, yada, yada, yada. And see, my problem is...
And you don't want him, and you don't want another 4 years of him.
Right.
So come on, vote for me, vote for me.
So we're allies. We'll be allies now.
We'll be allies. We're allies.
Here's the thing. The same white folks who loved me for 4 years when I was slamming Trump have a problem with me when I challenge Biden's administration. When I talk about the fact that Biden's been in office, for the last 6 months, and he came into office doing something for LGBTs, doing something for transgender, doing something for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, doing something
not just something. That was accelerated.
Right. But then saying, well, let's not talk about reparations right now. That we can't do anything specific for Black people. It's a rising tide lifts all boats. This will help Black people too. We're not two. We are the main contingent of the Democratic coalition that made sure that you got into office. But you can't do anything specifically for us. And so I've been harping on this administration. I condemn Biden for saying America is not a racist country. Now, all of these liberal Democrats and stuff were on the bandwagon condemning Tim Scott, the Black Republican, that America's not a racist country. But then when Joe Biden said it, and then when Kamala Harris said it, then when James Clyburn said it, I condemned all of the Democrats. Oh, well, Talbert, what do you want? 4 more years of Trump? I said, hold up.
This ain't got nothing to do with Trump now. We done got rid of him.
Y'all just condemned Tim Scott last week. I mean, Kamala and them said it the next day. You can't condemn her for saying the exact same thing that Tim Scott said because she got a D by her name and not an R. That's the kind of hypocrisy from liberal white folk that irks me.
Right.
Is as long as I'm condemning bigotry in Republicans and conservatives, you can get with me. But then when I turn around and condemn it in your own party, then you want to condemn me. You're not really an ally, because you care more about Democrat politics than you care about dismantling white supremacy.
Right. So my thing has become now, because of what you just explained, Bishop, my thing has become now, how do I best use the energy that I have left? Because I'm probably closer to death now. I'm sure I am, day by day, than I was before 54 years ago of being born, right? So how do I use the rest of my energy in the most efficient way to push my community? And when I say my community, I'm talking about my family first, which is, that community, Black folk first. Progress my community, because unfortunately we were born in a society that does not respect us, does not see us as human, does not don't respect our humanity, don't acknowledge our humanity, and certainly don't acknowledge our history. So that gets back to the whole attack of critical race theory, because if they don't respect you as a human, they certainly don't respect your history, the truth of your history. So they don't want that ever to be told. So that's very intentional to, certainly attack the story, the narrative, so that it won't be exposed, to our community, and continue to empower our people, our children, in particular. I also want to take note to this, getting back to the critical race theory thing. I also want to take note that it was Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw who developed, that phrase. And she also is the creator, and founder of intersectionality. And you heard me say this often, many of times, how, we got to get back to the origin of, or the reason why certain terms and language was produced in the first place, or whatever. So what tends to happen, and I do believe that critical race theory is an extension of intersectionality. If you really look at it, it's an extension of that, legal language, legal terms, putting a name on it, because we have to name things. We have to be able to name things, and we have to be able to use language again to push things forward, to, certainly push the movement forward, to progress, to advance, in the movement, as a collective, because we can't do this without each other. So we have to be on the same page. But at the same time, I do believe that it's also being used as a distraction to get us our focus of what's really important. So I want to say this, that in order for us to really use our energy effectively, moving forward, Bishop, I really do think that we have to give the bulk of our energy to our local politics and our state politics, our local and state politics. I believe that we gotta give, I believe that we have to really give our energy there. We got to, tell people how important it is to vote in local elections, how we can shift power. Like this year's school committee election and city council election is critical to our community. It's critical to our community. We really got a chance
Are you about to make an endorsement?
Can I? I don't think I can. But anyway,
we're not on WTCC.
Oh, okay. So, but anyway, we really got an opportunity. We really got an opportunity to put some really good people, for instance, on the school committee that have the best interests of our community, our children in mind, and not a capitalistic kind of mentality, or a power, just having a position, and having a name, or whatever in the community. So we had the opportunity to put Ayanna Crawford in office. We had the opportunity to put Denise Hurst back in the seat. We have an opportunity to put Barbara back. We also have an opportunity to put Barbara Gresham, that is, back into office. We have a huge opportunity to put LaTonya Naylor back in the seat, and that could shift the power. That could shift the power, along with the young man Josiah coming into, and he's running unopposed, I believe. Am I right, Bishop? He's running unopposed. I don't know Josiah, but I've heard a lot of great things about him. So we could quite possibly really make some really big changes on the school committee this year. We certainly have the same opportunity to do the same thing with city council, where we can put some good people on the city council, such as my dear friend, and everybody knows her, and everybody knows she's the real deal, Zeta Govan. as Ward 8 in a city council seat. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I should know this, but she would be the first Latina American, in such a seat. And she does consider herself Afro-Latina. So, and she represents very well all of those communities. And like I said,
first female.
She would be the first female? Not the
female
first
Latina. First, no. We've had Orlando Ramos is currently on the city council.
I said female Latina. That's what I said.
Yeah, female. Yeah.
I said female Latina. Okay. So she would be the first female Latina on the Ward 8 City Council. Yeah. So we have an opportunity to to try to again shift some power, make some changes here at the City Council, definitely with the school committee.
Actually, no. She
I
wouldn't.
don't need us to sleep on the school committee moves we need to be making.
She actually would not be the first. I just remembered Zaida Luna used to represent the Ward 1.
Okay, well, I think I said Ward 8 too. I think I said Ward 8. So she would be the first female Latina for Ward 8,
Yes, for Ward 8. But she needs to get on there. That's the bottom line. We need to get her on there.
Well, we absolutely need to get her on there. I don't know anybody that works harder in the community and has shown a consistent love for her community than Zeta Gomez. And she gets it. She's very knowledgeable, extremely intelligent, and has the realest history, with the community that I know of. And she's just good people. So, what we need, and what we need should be voting for, in my humble opinion. I can't tell nobody who to vote for, but I do believe that we need to be voting for people who are unapologetic about their politics. Like, you run on, what you believe, what your stance are. You don't just say what you want to say or need to say you believe to say so that you can get elected. No. If I ever run for office, I'm going to be very clear about my intentions and my thinking. I'm going to be very clear about that. I'm going to be unapologetic about it. So if you vote me in, you know what you get it. And if you don't, it's because you didn't want that, or whatever. So, hey.
So one of our evangelists is preaching to us, and I got her comment up here. Evangelist Stephanie Johnson said, when thrown a few crumbs, folks get silent.
Yeah. And I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of that.
I'm going to just let that marinate.
That's part of the political thinking here in Springfield too. And I said this to the candidate running for governor, Miss Allen. I said the black community, first of all, the black agencies here in Springfield, they literally don't get nothing, in my opinion. They don't ever get enough resources or funding to really make a difference in the black community. And that is evident by the way that the city looks. And I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. Just in case, and I don't mean to demean Springfield, because I love Springfield. But I travel enough to see that the way that the physical city looks, especially in black areas and neighborhoods where we live, where the bulk of us live, it makes no sense. It makes no sense that we don't have more resources to even just beautify, the area. And then these black folks, or whatever, black and brown folks are acting like, the state is giving them resources or the city is giving them resources and they want to stay quiet but you don't see no reflection of the resources supposedly that's supposed to be poured into the community.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's just one way. You know, I'm wondering, like, where are the resources going? You know, I don't get it. I mean, just simple things like our streets being clean or our streets not having holes in them or, you know, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
a lot to unpack locally, in terms of locally, and we're going to be planning on bringing some of the local folk on here because I think that conversation we need to have. There's a race. Melvin Edwards has an opponent this year. Marlo Brown has an opponent this year. There's a race in Ward 8 as well this year. There are some who are just going to walk into office, and so unfortunately they feel like they don't really have to be accountable to anyone. You know, they can do and say what they want, and there's nothing anyone can do. And in those circumstances, that's when we need to be recruiting people to run. Anybody who gets so entrenched in their office that they feel like, you know, they don't have to answer to anybody, we need to have somebody run against them. Bottom line.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, bottom line.
And also, let me say this, because it was a little bit of a conversation. I know this completely off, but we kind of been all over the place. Anytime you bring me on, I go in different ways anyway. But I want to say this to the Black community here, especially those of you who tout yourselves as Black leaders in the community. We got to find a better way to fight or disagree. I don't even want to call it a fight per se, Bishop, right? Maybe disagree. We got to find a better way to do that as opposed to publicly. One of the things that I do respect about other communities is that they get together and they decide who they gonna back, who they gonna support, and this, that, and the other. And we got to find a way to do that too. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. I know there's always some traitors in the group, you know, or whatever the case may be. So, we'll let those Black folks that want to continue to push those systems of oppression and racism and white supremacy, we'll let them, stay out there, to the side to themselves. But for those of you who believe in really, really pushing your community, the Black community, we got to find a way to come together and decide how we gonna disagree. And how
let me.
I just wanted to say this, Bishop, as opposed to publicly doing it. Because white folks take advantage of that. These white supremacists take advantage of that.
Let me agree and push back at the same time. I agree that that we need to be having as a community. We need to be having some closed door conversations, expression of disagreements and concerns and all of that out of the earshot of the majority community, so that they then cannot take advantage of or expose the rifts that exist in our community. So I agree with that. But then at the same time, I think whenever our leaders, persons in leadership, act in a manner publicly that is detrimental to the Black community, because I believe in the biblical principle. There's a principle in the Bible that says that when someone publicly brings reproach on the church, they need to be publicly rebuked. Private sin, private rebuke. Public rebuke. When someone puts the Black community on Front Street or acts out of the best interest of the Black community, in the public, then I believe they need to be addressed in that manner. If you're going to be a public official and make public statements and have and announce your meetings publicly, then you should be prepared for the public criticism of your action. That comes with
I don't think you pushing back on nothing that I said then. I didn't say not to do that. Did I say that?
No, I'm just putting
that.
Okay,
well, because you said push back on what I said, so that's not a pushback. I'm just
saying sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so but that's not a pushback.
Need to be addressed.
Just make that clear. That's not a pushback on what I said. I did not say don't do that. I did not say that. I said, let them. I said if they want to be like that, let them stay like that, but to the side. But those of us that really have the greater good of our community at heart, we need to learn how to come together and fight together or disagree together and make decisions about how to best push our community forward together. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, those that are like-minded and want the best for our community, then we can agree to disagree. But those of you who have joined forces with our enemies, then we should treat you like it. That's where I am with it. So be that as it may, we continue to fight. And on this police issue, it's really cut and dry. There's no gray area. It's like, when Trump was in office and the Charlottesville stuff happened, and he was talking about verifying people on both sides, and people have tried to both sides arguments and made false equivalencies and stuff. There's no both sides on this Springfield police issue. There is none. There is no both sides in terms of this police commissioner. There's no side of we need to get rid of her or we need to continue to have dialogue. She needs to go, period.
Exactly.
There's no both sides to that issue. And if you're not on our side, you're against us. Jesus even said that. If you're not for me, you're against me. And those who try to act like there's some nuance to this, there is no nuance.
Right.
And if there is, articulate your point. Tell me what the redeeming qualities of Cheryl Clapproot are and how she benefits the Black community. Tell me how a white woman who was convicted of filing a false police report, but yet rose to become the commissioner, the epitome of white privilege, and then stands atop her perch and says, ain't no racism, ain't no systemic racism, there is no implicit bias, I don't have any privilege, how that woman benefits Black people. And if you can prove to me how she's a benefit to Black people and we should back off on our calls for her dismissal, I'll listen to it. But unless you have a succinct, articulate point of view that expresses something different, then what you're doing is you're buck dancing, you are kowtowing and apologizing for white supremacy. You're being a coon, period. Point blank.
And people also don't know, that not just outing a Clapproot per se, but also the whole philosophy of defunding the police, how that benefits us in the long run, not just, from a racist or a criminal justice perspective, but also with the reallocation of funding, of monies. A lot of city monies and state monies goes to the police department, this corrupt police department, where some of that money, if it's redirected into, other services, first of all, other services, appropriate services, not only will you cut down on, people being wrongfully incarcerated, for instance, or, well, I'll just put it this way, the incarceration rate, the mistreatment or police brutality and so on and so forth, or whatever the case may be, but also reallocating resources and funding, also you will in the end you will see the difference in the way that our communities look physically and the way that our people feel and eat. For instance, the grocery store, all of that stuff is connected together. All of that is connected together. Can you expound upon that a little bit, Bishop, as to why in the movement we're calling for defunding of the police and not just reform, if you will, because reform is not good enough. It's not good enough. It needs to be dismantled.
First of all, people need to get a good understanding what defund the police means. Mm-hmm. And some people say, "Oh, well, that shouldn't have used that term. It's controversial." Blah blah blah. Defunding the police simply means this. The best example I can give is the best case scenario is that the experts have said that it takes about 50 police officers, or I'm sorry, it takes about 100 police officers. No, I think I'm gonna get that wrong. But here's the deal: for a city our size, 150,000 to 160,000 people, the experts have said we should only have a police force of about 350 police officers. Springfield at high points has had over 500. Right now it has over 450. So it probably has 100 police officers more than it actually needs. Think about the salaries and benefits and pensions and stuff of 100 police officers. And so the highest paid folks when they come out with that list every year of the highest paid folks in the city, most of them are cops. And I'm not talking about the highest brass cops. I'm talking about just regular cops who get a whole boatload of money, working overtime and extra detail and all of that kind of stuff. So when you talk about 100 police officers times salaries and benefits and all that, you're talking about over $1 million a year. Think about what you could do with that million. Prevention program, resources that could be put in poorer communities. Tanisha Arena put it very articulately where she said, poverty breeds violence.
That's it.
And when there's more violence, you say we need more cops. No, if we get more resources to mitigate the poverty, then we get rid of the violence. And that's why well-resourced communities don't have more cops, but they have less violence.
They have more resources.
Exactly, because they have more resources. So what we're saying is, we're not saying get rid of police when we say defund the police. We're saying cut the police budget and reallocate those funds to provide resources to those heavily policed communities. And you will see a reduction in crime when you see a reduction in poverty because they have the resources that they need. Mm-hmm. And that's all that means in terms of defunding the police. But of course, people are always talking about, oh, well, you want to defund the police, we're going to see who you're going to call when you get in trouble, blah, blah. First of all, they take forever to come to our neighborhoods. And then it's dangerous.
And we don't call them.
It's dangerous for us to call them anyway. How many times do we have to deal with a story of a black woman or a black man who called the cop for help, like Ma'Khia Bryant in Ohio? She called the cops because she was being attacked. The cops showed up and shot her. Or the young man who was a football star had called the police for help, and as he's walking up the hill toward the police because he called them for help, they shot and killed him. So it's dangerous for us to even call cops, let alone depend on them, to help us. And so, yes, we need to reallocate those funds and put those funds to better use in terms of resources in our community.
And let me say this about that. I say this all the time that that's a benefit to police officers. Like that helps police officers. 90%. It's some research being done in areas of New York by certain universities, or whatever the case may be. Some research being done, and so they're starting to find out that 95% of 911 calls should have never been dialed in the first place. If they had another resource, right? Or even if they had a dispatch, that could redirect the call, to the more appropriate services, that would cut down and that would cut back on, police brutality and, and certainly, police fatality and all of the racism, that is constructed within the criminal justice system, with policing, or whatever the case may be. So it's a benefit to them, not to get every single, 911 call that they don't need to be going out, on and answering to. That would be a benefit to them if we recreate policing, if we recreate policing.
Thank God that you cannot play that song right now.
What's that?
Thank God you cannot play that song right now.
That is my granddaughter talking noise. That's my son rapping right there. We got to get out the way, y'all. I got meetings coming up and all that kind of stuff. She was trying to, she had me doing TikToks, and now she's so I did a TikTok on my own, and I sent it out to all of my haters.
And I'm tired of that song.
and now she's talking about she's tired of the song. Y'all know that one about Plies, saying that you want to argue, and I can't argue with you, and yada yada yada. And she's saying, thank God you're not going to play that. And just because she said I wasn't going to play
it.
No!
Why, Papa?
I'm going to. Okay, y'all want to argue? We can't argue with y'all. We got too much stuff to do out here. Too much stuff to do. First Lady just jumped off the doggone live and everything. That's all right. That's all right. I'm coming back at you live and direct. Listen, I got to get out the way. We got to go. Once again, if you're looking for a place to worship, join us at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, okay? We are located at 35 Alden Street in Springfield, Massachusetts. And you can check us out every Sunday morning. Why are you whispering in my ear, girl? Every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock a.m., and I guess my granddaughter is here for the summer, so she's just going to be rolling down here every Monday, trying to commandeer my radio show and, be all up. She like Puffy. What did they say about Puffy? That the producer be all up in the song, all up on the song, all up in the videos. That's her. She's going to be all up in the video, all up in the mix. Anyway, I got to get out the way. Got to go. See, now she wants to finish. She wants to finish my radio show for me. So until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, come on, help me with it. Always remember, God loves you, and so do I. We're out of here. Peace.